Would be connection.
Yeah, it's right there.
It's all digital. All right. Yeah. Hey, I'm Xavier. I work for a little consulting firm by myself here in San Diego, and I've been doing a lot of Ember recently. And playing around with Ember, you'll see a lot of kind of data observation, property observation techniques being used to build apps. And like building that, it kind of looks like magic. It's pretty cool. And then I think, all this bookkeeping that's got to be done for observing values. And then I learned about this thing called Object.observe, which is in ECMAScript 7. And here, I'll let you look for all the red if it'll scroll. So there's a lot of red. If the screen was the right size, you'd see that only Chrome really supports it, and that's the recent Chromes as well. So it's very much a new feature. You're not going to find it all over the place. You can find it on Node Harmony. I'm not sure what that is, but yeah, that's an option. So I'll just jump into some examples of the various ways you can use Observe. So this is a very small screen, but let's go through the code on the left. So a good way to see how this works is to think about how you use objects in JavaScript and then see if you can snoop on what's happening. So we first make an object, me, and then we use Object.observe to register a callback. So we're telling Chrome, wake me up whenever this object changes, right? And so the function signature is actually pretty straightforward. Object.observe is just going to wake you up with a list of changes. And so we'll go over what's inside of a change. This is just a little bit of plumbing I've done, but the real work is being done with the log header and the log change. And so what we're going to do is every time there's a change, we're going to call log change. The object for the change is going to come in, and then we're just going to get the index into the list of changes. So let's take a look at what I do to the Xavier object. So I set some properties to it, and then I actually modify a property here where I take the company, I set equal to the company plus a string. So these 4 changes here actually get bulked and put into one list here. So this is change 1 of 4, 2 of 4, 3 of 4, and 4 of 4. And so I got woken up by Object.observe to tell me I got 3 adds and an update. So I didn't figure out that anything was added or it was changed. Whether something was modified or added, all that bookkeeping is done by Chrome. So I don't have to do any of that. And the win there is it's bugs I don't introduce, and it's done in fast C, hopefully. So I'll try and line up the changes. So here's the first change. So it said the property name was added with the value of Xavier Lange. So pretty evident right there. Do the same thing for the second change, and then the third change here. And then the fourth one, you get the addition where it actually gives you the old value right there, and then with that string appended there. So it's pretty cool that it's giving me the old value as well. So if you want to do some kind of program that would show people how their data has changed, this is where you would get that raw information. And then to kind of avoid having all the changes lumped together, I put them inside of a timeout. So I'm not sure how Chrome is batching them up for that first 4, but if I want to get changes outside of those first 4, I have to do a little bit of a timeout. Yeah, so let's see why things, okay, so here's the delete that you'll see here. And this timeout here, you actually don't get a change for it because cats is actually a list. So Object.observe is, it won't watch lists because lists are not objects in the same way that objects are objects. And like looking over it, I was like, that's not how I would like it to work. But I'll show you in the next one. So if you ever see a list being added, you would have to use something else called array.observe, which is kind of goofy. And then, yeah, so that's just kind of a really basic example of modifying an object and seeing what happens. And then here I'll kind of build up the array real quick. So this one's really simple. Do that, and JSpin has a nice little way of outputting it, but essentially this is the change object here. So you get some good information there. You just kind of build up how it looks. Here it gets batched up, and you start getting some interesting circular objects. You'll see that more often. Yeah. So this is actually 2 changes. This is the first with the 2 there, and then the one from the closure, the function there, going in separately. So that's how you would watch arrays. So I got a little bit more on how to do mutation observers, but I don't really have time for that. But that's kind of the overarching ways. Like if you're on the model layer of an app, Object.observe is really handy. You're going to have to combine it with array.observe to kind of check out what's going on. And then if you want to watch like changes to the DOM, you have to use something called a mutation observer. So like I thought it was going to be simple. I thought I was only going to be looking at Object.observe, but you end up needing a lot of different libraries to, a lot of different like observer types to do this stuff. And this still does not solve the problem of watching form inputs. So form inputs don't work with Object.observe, array.observe, or mutation observer, because changes to properties or changes to like fields in a form are not reflected in the DOM. So you have to use on key up, on key down listeners still. So I thought it was going to be more satisfying, but you end up going down this rabbit hole of all these different APIs. So, yep. From what I've seen, it's shallow, but I could be wrong. And mutation observer is one where it can do deep or it can do shallow. So I can show you real quick how that would work. So this example, not mine, I found this from Adios Money. When you register the observer, you actually give it a little bit of a observer spec, and you tell it what kind of changes you're interested in. So yeah, that's one knob you can turn.
So the event names that were occurring on the observer, like the add and delete, those are like internal to the observe? Yep. Was the delete though, was that triggered because you used the delete keyword? Like if you were to just to like set a value to null, would that show as delete or would that show as a change?
That's a change, because the property company is actually gone. So if you were to look at Xavier, like after the delete is done, you wouldn't know that the property was there. So this is the only way to find out. Yeah, so, you know, Ember has one way of doing Object.observe, but what I found is that it won't, like if you use the observe keyword in Ember, it won't actually tell you what the previous value was. Like they don't do that kind of tracking. So this is actually a pretty rich solution, but you're gonna have to use it to like build up something else. But I'm guessing in the future, these frameworks are gonna rely on this like Object.observe for speed.
So would you see this replacing something like that as like a pub subsystem or?
Yeah, this is a good way to do it. Yeah. So what I want to do was dig into how Chrome is doing it, because I've seen some like bad science being thrown around where people are like, oh, now you go from having O(n) complexity to like constant time complexity. I'm like, all right, it's not like that big of a win, but it is nice that you should get the same behavior on different browsers and you don't have to write this.
Arguably, it seems like, I mean, I know that having speed that I got here, but it seems to me that this actually is not introducing any kind of real big O in all. Like, let's say you're doing a deep watch on object, and every time you change on every tick of the JavaScript process, it's going to dig deep into objects. It seems like that would be expensive.
I'm not sure if that would be, if it would be less expensive to do it in JavaScript land.
Well, no, it's expensive in a way.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it seems like loading it, like if people are kind of going like, yes, I'm going to do this. This is going to be
No.
great. I'm going to do this all over the place. It seems like if you start dumping a bunch of observers or every research, that's more expensive. You've seen that. You've got to just like it all, JS perfect it all.
Nope, haven't done that.
So I'm curious.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I wouldn't use this in production code because, like I showed, you're not going to find compatibility anywhere but Chrome. So unless you're only targeting Chrome, and not even like, yeah, I think some of the Android browsers won't be able to do it. So it's not just like WebKit; it's like Chrome only. So good to think about, but.